Hi, everybody. Welcome to the week of August 31st through September the 4th. This week, we are going to be continuing on with main idea. So before we get started, let's go ahead and make sure that you have a pen and pencil and a paper or a notebook, whichever way you've been taking your notes. So we're going to get started today by doing a little bit of review. So we're going to talk first about what these 5 ideas mean and how we've used them before. So the first idea that we talked about was main idea. We said that main idea is the most important idea of a text. It is the key idea, the topic, or the big picture. We said that every single reading you do has a main idea, doesn't matter what you're reading about, and that it's really important that we know what main idea is no matter what type of reading we are doing. The second thing we talked about were supporting details. Supporting details help us to prove the information that is the main idea. So I want you to think back to last week when we read that passage about moonwalking. We had a lot of good details about who walked on the moon, when they walked on the moon, and how many people walked on the moon. But we also had that weird detail about Michael Jackson moonwalking. That one didn't quite fit. So we want to make sure that all of our supporting details really help to prove the main idea. And that leads us into topic sentences. Topic sentences state the main idea. That means we should be able to underline the topic sentence inside of a reading. The topic sentence can be at the front of a paragraph, it can be at the end of a paragraph, it can be in the middle of a paragraph. And we also said that sometimes there aren't any topic sentences. And that's what leads us into our last 2 ideas, a stated main idea versus an implied main idea. Now, we said that when something was stated, it means that it is directly said and that it's something that you can find in a text. So you can find the main idea when it is stated and underline it. The opposite of that is when something is implied. Now, if something is implied, it means that the information is not there for you to underline, but we can still understand what it's trying to tell us. When we have implied information, it's up to us to make an educated guess about what is happening. So a good way to think about this is that if something is stated, it's when I make a statement. Something like, question number 3 is wrong. You very clearly know what I'm trying to tell you. When I say something that is implied, you kind of have to figure it out on your own. So that would be like me saying, I think you should go back and check number 3. I didn't say it was wrong, but you know that it's something you need to go back and look at. So we've got our 5 key ideas here. And what we're going to do with our key ideas, we are going to read 2 mini paragraphs today and talk about finding main idea and how we find it. We're going to talk about if there's a topic sentence and whether or not the main idea is stated or implied. Then what we're going to do, we're going to tackle a longer reading, and we'll get to that in a little bit. First thing we want to do is review the process for looking for main idea. So after you have finished reading, these are the 4 things that I'm asking myself as a reader. So the first thing I ask is, what is this paragraph mainly about? I am wanting to know, just for myself, what is this? What's the topic? Once I think I have a good idea about main idea, I'm going to see if I can get a little more specific, because we know that main idea is not just one word, it's a phrase or a whole idea. So after I've kind of gotten more specific about my main idea, what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide if the main idea is stated or implied. So it's really important that we recognize whether or not the main idea is stated or implied, because that leads us into our third step. Is there a topic sentence? We know that the only time you're going to see a topic sentence is if the main idea is stated. If there is no topic sentence, it means that the main idea has been implied. So the last thing I do is, if there is no topic sentence, I like to create one. I like to know what the main idea is in my own words before I get started doing any kinds of questions. So let's go ahead and practice this. All right, we're ready to go. Before you put on that skeleton costume and rove door to door pandering for candy, take a minute to reflect on this tradition. Halloween is believed to have come from an ancient Celtic festival dating back some 2,000 years. November 1st was the Celtic New Year and marked the end of summer to the Celts. They celebrated on its eve by wearing costumes made of animal skins and dancing around bonfires. Over the next 2 millennia, this primitive celebration grew to be the candy-fueled costume ball that we know today. Okay, so we've got our paragraph. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decide what is this passage mainly about. So I think that this passage is all about Halloween. But I also know that I need to be more specific than that. I can't just say just Halloween. So for me, when I'm reading this, I see that this has a lot of information about the Celts and about Halloween. So I think I'm going to expand this and say that this seems to me all about the origins of Halloween, where Halloween comes from, or maybe, I think that's good. I think that's a good place to leave it. The origins of Halloween, where Halloween came from. I think that works for this paragraph. So the next thing I want to ask is the main idea stated or implied? So if it's stated, it means that we should be able to find the topic sentence inside of a paragraph. And I actually really like this sentence right here. Halloween is believed to have come from an ancient Celtic festival dating back some 2,000 years. That really matches my idea that we had come up with here at the top, the origins of Halloween or where Halloween came from. So I think that really fits for me. So since I was able to underline the topic sentence, that means that the paragraph has a stated main idea. We want to keep in mind that a stated main idea is the same thing as a topic sentence. So let's do another paragraph and try this one out. When one hears the term reality applied to a show, one might expect that the events portrayed occurred naturally, or at least were not scripted. This is not always the case. Many reality shows occur in unreal environments, like rented mansions occupied by film crews. Such living environments do not reflect what most people understand to be reality. Worse, there have been accusations that events not captured on film were later restaged by producers. Worse still, some involved in the production of reality television claim that participants were urged to act out storylines premeditated by producers. With such accusations floating around, it's no wonder many people take reality TV to be about as real as a sitcom. Okay, so I need to decide what this passage is talking to me about. So I hear in this a lot about TV, and I want to be more specific than that. So I'm going to say that this is about reality TV. I'm being a little more specific than just saying TV, but I still think I could add more. So they gave me a lot of good details here, like where reality shows occur. They talked about events not being captured on film being restaged, and then the idea that participants had to act out storylines. So that kind of tells me that reality TV is not really real. So I kind of like that idea. Reality TV is not really real. That's what I think the main idea of this passage is. My next step is to decide whether or not this has a stated or implied main idea. So if it's stated, I have to be looking for that topic sentence. I don't really see a topic sentence that I think matches this main idea. So what that means is that this has an implied main idea. Remember that when we have implied main ideas, it means that there isn't anything for us to underline or come back to. It just means that we still know what the main idea is. We just can't underline anything. Okay, so we've got our 2 paragraphs done, and what we're going to do, we are going to take everything that we have been practicing with main idea, and we're going to apply it to a longer reading. So the reading that we're going to be doing for our long reading is actually 3 slides. So we've got a lot of information to be keeping track of. What I am going to encourage you to do is take notes for yourself as you're watching this video. So when we're in class, if you have a piece of paper in front of you that has the reading on it, it's really easy to underline and highlight. But when we're on the computer, it's a little bit harder to do that. So what I'm going to show you here is that off to the left of the screen here, I'm going to be underlining the things that I think are important. And then on the right side of the screen in this box, I am going to be showing you what I would be typing in for notes. So you're going to notice that a lot of the things are going to be similar. but that when I take notes, they are meant for me. So they are in words and phrases that make sense to me. The key thing for you when you take notes is that you should be able to understand them. They shouldn't be long, and you should be able to track what you are reading about. The goal with note-taking as you read is that we want to remember the things that we have read. I know that when we are reading something that is boring, sometimes we find that by the time we get to the end of that reading, we've forgotten what has happened at the beginning. So taking notes is a really helpful way of making sure that we don't forget the things we have read. Alrighty, so we're going to start our reading with the title. We know that the title is a great place to look for main idea, and it's usually the first place that it appears. So this title for me is Lightning, the Underrated Killer. Okay, so I'm starting to think that this passage is all about lightning, and I'm going to say death. For me, that's what I think the main idea of this passage is, lightning and death. I'm going to come back to this and decide whether or not that's the case, but that's my starting idea. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the reading. Summer is the peak season for one of the nation's deadliest weather phenomena, lightning. In the United States, an average of 43 people are killed each year by lightning. In 2018, there were 20 deaths in the United States attributed to lightning. Over the past decade, the U.S. has averaged 400 lightning injuries per year. The injury number is likely far lower than it should be because many people do not seek help or doctors do not record the injury as a lightning injury. So this first paragraph had a lot of good information about deaths and facts and figures like that. So I am wanting to add that information to my notes. So I'm going to say 43 people, ooh, if I could type that correctly, are killed each year. I'm going to add in that in 2018, there were 20 deaths. And then I'm going to add in there were 40 lightning injuries per year. Should check my spelling as we go through. Lightning, there we go. Oh, excuse me, 400 lightning injuries per year. Ooh. Okay. And we know that it is far lower because people don't seek help and doctors don't record. So what I want you to notice here is that I've used that idea BC here. That's kind of just my way of showing because. It's a shorthand that I've picked up. There are lots of ways that you can incorporate this shorthand into your note-taking. It's whatever works best for you, so keep that in mind. So what I want you to notice is that I didn't really write complete sentences. I picked up facts and figures along the way. What I would like for you to do is on your page, I want you to take the notes as we read through this together. So I will still continue to underline over here, but the notes taking, I want you to try that on your own. Okay, so let's keep going. Lightning is a serious danger. In the United States, there are an estimated 25 million cloud-to-ground lightning flashes each year. Lightning can be fascinating to watch, but it is also extremely dangerous. Few people really understand the dangers of lightning. Okay, so I didn't really see a lot of information in this paragraph that I needed to remember. Lightning is dangerous. We know that, and so I'm going to write that down. And I think the only other thing that I'm going to write down is that there are 25 million cloud-to-ground lightning flashes. That's a lot of lightning that happens every year. So let's keep going. Although some victims are struck directly by the main lightning strike, many victims are struck as the current moves in and along the ground. Okay, we're going to pause for a minute and we're going to look at this word current. So this is a word that we've probably heard before. When we think of current, the very first thing that I think of is right now, right? Current events talk about things that happen now. But that doesn't really make sense in this sentence. Instead, current has something to do with lightning. When we're reading about science text, keep in mind that some words that you know have multiple meanings. In this case, current also means the flow of electricity. So our first sentence is telling us that people can be harmed when they are struck directly by lightning, but they can also be harmed when that lightning is moving along the ground, so when the electricity is flowing through the ground. So we've got two ways of actually being harmed by that lightning. All right, let's finish the paragraph. While almost all people take some protective actions during the most dangerous part of thunderstorms, many leave themselves vulnerable to being struck by lightning as thunderstorms approach, depart, or are nearby. Okay, so I think I'm going to take this with me too. From this paragraph, I want to remember the two cases or the two ways that people get harmed by lightning, and that people are vulnerable when thunderstorms approach, depart, or nearby. So that's what I want to take with me from this. We're going to keep going. If you are still finishing your notes taking, go ahead and pause the video before you continue on to the next slide. Okay, so we're going to keep going with our next three paragraphs. Lightning can strike as far away as 10 miles, let's try that again. Lightning can strike as far as 10 miles away from the rain area in a thunderstorm. That's about the distance you can hear thunder. When a storm is 10 miles away, it may be difficult to tell a storm is coming. If you can hear thunder, you are within striking distance. I really like that sentence. That seems to kind of sum up the information I need to know. Seek safe shelter immediately. The first strike of lightning is just as deadly as the last. All right, I really like this sentence here that I've underlined the whole thing. It's really nicely worded, and it kind of tells me what I want to remember. If I hear thunder, I could get struck by lightning. Use the 30-30 rule. I don't know what that is, so I'm hoping they're going to tell me. Use the 30-30 rule where visibility is good and there is nothing obstructing your view of the thunderstorm. When you see lightning, count the time until you hear thunder. If that time is 30 seconds or less, there's the first 30. The thunderstorm is within 6 miles of you and is dangerous. Seek shelter immediately. So the first part of this 30-30 rule seems to be that if you count to 30 or less from the thunder to the lightning, you should seek shelter, that the thunderstorm is close to you. So let's see what the other 30 is talking about. The threat of lightning continues for a much longer period than most people think. Wait at least 30 minutes after the last clap of thunder before leaving shelter. Don't be fooled by sunshine or blue sky. So there's the second part of our 30-30. So 30 seconds or less, the storm is within 6 miles of you, and you have to wait for 30 minutes until after the last clap of thunder before you should leave shelter. Okay, so once again, if you're still keeping your notes, if you're still typing out or writing out your notes, pause the video before you continue. We've got 2 paragraphs left. All right, so here's the end of our paragraphs. Most lightning deaths and injuries in the United States occur during the summer months when the combinations of lightning and outdoor summertime activities reach a peak. Okay, so they happen in the summer. People who are outdoors need to take action in a timely manner when thunderstorms approach. I like that idea, taking action in a timely manner. Okay, sounds good. This makes sense to me because I think of storms more often in the summer than any other time during the year. So that makes sense to me that lightning deaths and injuries occur in the summer. Okay, so let's review at the end. Inside homes, people must also be aware of ways to reduce their lightning risk. I never would have thought that I would be in danger in my home. They should stay away from windows and doors and avoid contact with anything that conducts electricity. Lightning is a dangerous threat to people in the United States, particularly those outside in the summer. By using common sense, the number of lightning deaths could be greatly reduced. Okay, so we've got a lot of really great information here. And what I want to come back to is the idea that we had come up with at the beginning, that this paragraph is mainly about lightning and death. I think that's actually a pretty good main idea. It also tells me ways to reduce death. So when we first started, before we had even begun reading, we had come up with what we thought was the main idea. And now that we've finished reading, it's up to us to review that main idea and see if it actually makes sense. I think it does. So my next challenge would be to decide whether or not this has a topic sentence. Topic sentences usually appear at either the beginning or the end of a reading. And I kind of remember at the beginning that I didn't really see anything that I liked, but reading this passage here, I really like these two sentences at the end. I think that they do a really great job of explaining to me what the whole main idea is, that lightning is dangerous, especially to people in the summer, but by using common sense, those deaths could be greatly reduced. I think that really matches what I want my main idea to look like up here. So I think that this is my topic sentence, or my topic sentences for this paragraph, which means that the information that was given to us as main idea is a stated main idea. So as you're reading, what I really encourage you to do is make sure you're taking good notes for yourself. I did a lot of underlining here, and hopefully that underlining helps guide you in your own note taking. So the last thing we want to do before we leave is review the homework for the week. So on Monday, there is a vocabulary review on Quizlet that's being posted. On Tuesday, we have our reading skill that is once again practicing main idea. These are individual paragraphs, and most of them have an implied main idea, which means that it's up to you to create your main idea statement. Remember, the more specific we can be, the better that main idea sentence is going to be. On Wednesday, we have another grammar mini lesson. We're continuing with capitalizing, and this week we're going to be talking about the rules for capitalizing names. On Thursday, this is what I'm going to consider our most important homework assignment of the week. On Thursday, we're going to do a long reading that's about the length of what we did together here. That reading is titled, "Working Up a Sweat May One Day Power Up a Device." Your job is to practice the reading skills that we went over today. When reading a long paragraph, make sure you are taking notes so that you have an idea of what that passage is talking about, and you don't have to be going back and forth as much. Last up, on Friday, we are going to be talking about pictographs some more. So there is a pictograph practice with 10 graph questions. At the very end of your questions, once you submit, there is going to be a video that reviews the answers with you. So keep a lookout for that. All right, everybody, as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please call me, email me, or send me a remind message, and we can talk about that together. All right, everyone, have a great week. Bye.